Welcome to the deep dive. We've got quite a pile of news reports here, all from May 2025.
Yeah, and they all seem to point in one direction. Cybersecurity incidents, data breaches. It's been a busy month on that front.
Absolutely. So what we want to do today is dive into these reports, really pull out the factual nuggets.
Exactly. We're talking what actually happened, who got hit, what specific data was compromised.
And when did it happen, or maybe more accurately, when did we find out about it through these reports?
Right. We're sticking strictly to the facts as reported in these May sources. No guessing, no tech deep dives on how technically, just the what, who, when, what data.
Okay, let's do it. This is our deep dive into the facts from May 2025. Where should we start? Maybe chronologically with the reports.
Sounds good. Let's look at the reports that surfaced around the week of May 5th.
Okay, first one that jumps out is VeriSource Services. There was a breach reported then.
Yeah, VeriSource. The incident itself actually happened quite a while back, February 2024.
February 2024.
And the report says they detected it that same month, February 20th. But the notification timeline is, well, it's something.
How long are we talking?
Final notifications apparently didn't wrap up until April 2025.
Over a year. Wow.
Yeah, more than a year between detection and final notification. And the scope was pretty big, too.
How many people?
The report stated 4 million individuals impacted.
4 million. And who were they?
Employees and their dependents who used VeriSource's services. Benefits, HR provider, that kind of thing.
Got it. And the data compromise, was it sensitive?
Oh, yeah. Full names, addresses, dates of birth, gender, and the big one, Social Security numbers.
Oof. Okay, what else came out that first week of May? Ascension, the healthcare system, that name popped up, right?
It did. This was the initial report on Ascension. It stemmed from a cyber attack, but interestingly, not directly on them.
Oh.
It hit a former business partner, apparently back in December 2024.
A third-party issue, then, was the cause.
Exploiting a vulnerability in some third-party software that partner used. That's what the report said.
And the impact, the initial numbers.
Initially, they reported at least 114,692 folks in Texas, about 96 in Massachusetts, but they noted it was potentially much wider nationwide.
Okay, and the data, healthcare data can be really sensitive.
Extremely. This breach reportedly involved personal details, names, addresses, phone, email, DOB, race, gender, SSNs.
The usual suspects, unfortunately.
Right. But also clinical information from inpatient visits. We're talking physician names, admission and discharge dates, diagnosis codes, billing codes, medical record numbers, insurance details, really comprehensive stuff.
It's incredibly detailed. Okay, also in that early May timeframe, something about the Texas Health Department.
Yeah, the Texas Health and Human Services Commission, HHSC, not an external hack this time, according to the report.
What happened then?
Employee misconduct, improper access dating back to July 2024.
And the scale.
Over 94,000 individuals who received state benefits were affected.
What kind of data was improperly accessed there?
Again, core identifiers, full names, addresses, phone numbers, social security numbers, and also Medicaid or Medicare IDs.
So internal threat leading to sensitive data exposure.
Yeah.
We also saw some UK retailers hit the news that week, didn't we? Harrods.
Yes, Harrods confirmed a cyber attack happened in late April 2025.
How did they respond?
The report mentioned they restricted internet access in their physical stores, kind of a precaution.
Just shut them down.
No, stores and their online platforms apparently stayed open. But at the time of that report, they hadn't actually said if any systems were properly breached or if data was stolen. Still unclear then.
Okay, and Marks & Spencer, M&S, also got mentioned.
They did, and it sounded more disruptive. A significant ransomware attack linked in reports to the Scattered Spider threat group.
Ransomware. What was the impact there?
Widespread outages. Reports mentioned disruptions to things like contactless payments, online ordering, stuff customers would definitely notice.
Do the reports give any detail on how the attackers got in or what they did?
A bit, yeah. It suggested they might have breached the network way back in February 2025.
February again.
Seems so. And apparently got hold of the ntds.dictput file.
Ah, the Active Directory database. That's serious.
Very. Allowed them to extract password hashes, move laterally, spread through the network. Then, the report says, they deployed something called Dragon Force ransomware on April 24th.
And what did that target?
Specifically mentioned encrypting VMware ESXi virtual machines. That hits the servers hard.
Okay, that covers the first week or so. Moving into the week of May 12th, did we get any updates? Ascension, maybe?
We did. An update on that December 2024 breach via the business partner. The numbers changed.
How much?
The new reported figure was over 430,000 patients affected.
Over 430,000. That's a huge jump from the initial report.
Massive jump. The reports reiterated the cause, that former business partner, the third-party software vulnerability. They also started linking it more strongly to the CLOP ransomware group, likely exploiting a zero-day flaw in Clio's secure file transfer software.
Right, CLOP's been active with those file transfer exploits. And the data types were still the same extensive list.
Yes, seemed to be the same confirmation, broad personal details, and that very specific clinical information.
Okay, what else surfaced around mid-May? The education sector seemed to have a bad week in the news.
It really did. PowerSchool, the big edtech provider, was in the reports.
What happened there?
A cyber attack back in December 2024, and the reported scope. It's staggering.
How big?
Over 62 million students and 9.5 million teachers across more than 6,500 districts.
62 million students.
That's the number in the report. And the stolen data included full names, addresses, phone numbers, SSNs, medical data, even grades.
Wow. And there's something unusual about the aftermath, wasn't there?
Yeah, this is a key factual point from the report, even though PowerSchool apparently paid a ransom shortly after finding the breach.
They paid. So
The hacker is now, according to the report, individually extorting the school districts, threatening to release their specific data.
So the hacker didn't delete the data like they presumably promised.
Apparently not. The report explicitly mentioned the attacker didn't delete it. Really underscores the risk of paying ransoms, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Who else in education? Pearson?
Pearson, yeah. Another giant. Their attack reportedly started back in January 2025.
And how did the attackers get in there?
The report points to an exposed GitLab personal access token, a PPAT, basically a credential,
Exposed how?
found in a .jitconfig file that was somehow publicly accessible. A configuration mistake, it sounds like.
And what did that token give access to?
Source code. And worse, that source code apparently had hard-coded credentials baked into it for cloud platforms.
Oh no, which ones?
Reports mentioned AWS, Google Cloud, Snowflake, even their Salesforce CRM.
So one mistake opened the door to potentially a lot of systems. What was the outcome?
Attackers apparently stole terabytes of data over several months. Customer information, financial records, support tickets, proprietary source code.
Terabytes.
Yeah.
That's huge. Did Pearson say anything about the scope?
They issued a statement mentioned in the report saying it involved mostly legacy data and that employee info wasn't affected. But the potential impact could be millions worldwide. An exact number wasn't disclosed in the reports we saw.
Okay, shifting sectors again. A venture capital firm was mentioned. Insight Partners.
That's right. Insight Partners confirmed a data breach they detected back on January 16th, 2025.
How does that one happen?
Described in the reports as a sophisticated social engineering attack.
Tricking people, basically.
Well,
What was
it-
accessed?
Unauthorized access to certain IT systems, yeah, and theft of sensitive data.
Related to whom?
Employees, but also their limited partners, the investors and their portfolio companies, too.
So, wide net. What kind of data specifically?
The reports listed things like fund details, management company data, info on the portfolio companies themselves, banking and tax records, and personal data of current and former employees. Pretty sensitive stuff for a VC firm.
Definitely. Also around mid-May, there was news about a massive phishing campaign.
Yes, the CodeUI phishing platform. The scale was incredible.
Oh, babe.
Reports indicated it sent over 580 million phishing emails just between January and April 2025.
500 million emails in 4 months. Who are they targeting?
Primarily Japanese users, according to the report, but they also ran campaigns targeting the US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand.
Whoa, this is the goal.
Standard phishing playbook. Impersonating big brands, Amazon, Rakuten, PayPal, Apple, tax agencies, banks to steal login credentials and payment information.
Did the reports mention anything special about how it operated?
Yeah, it used some advanced techniques, things like geofencing, browser fingerprinting, device profiling,
Why do that?
to make sure the phishing page was only shown to intended victims in the right location or with the right kind of device, and to redirect everyone else, like security researchers, to the legitimate website to avoid detection. Pretty sneaky.
And who was behind it?
Linked in the reports to Chinese-speaking threat actors. Proofpoint apparently identified it as the highest volume campaign they were tracking at the time.
Okay, Let's move to the reports coming out in the week of May 19th. Any updates on those earlier incidents? M&S.
Yes, M&S provided more details. They confirmed that personal customer data was stolen in that ransomware attack.
What kind of data exactly?
Names, addresses, phone numbers, dates of birth, email addresses, online order history, and also masked payment card details.
Masked, okay.
Yeah.
That's an important distinction.
Crucial. And M&S emphasized this in their statement, according to the report. No evidence that payment or card details in a usable form or any account passwords were actually compromised.
So personal info and order history, yes, but the really critical payment and login stuff, apparently no.
That's what the report conveys from M&S's update. It also reconfirmed the link to the Dragon Force ransomware group, same as Scattered Spider mentioned earlier.
Got it. What about that Steam account leak claim? That surfaced around this time too, right?
It did. Claims popped up on a dark web forum. Someone calling themselves Machine 337 was offering 89 million Steam account details for sale.
89 million. For how much?
Just $5,000 apparently.
Seems cheap for that many accounts. What data was supposedly included?
The claim was phone numbers and expired 15-minute two-factor authentication codes, the 2FA codes.
Okay, so not passwords. What did Valve, Steam's owner, say?
Valve confirmed their core systems were not breached. That's key.
Okay.
And they stated the leaked data did not include passwords, payment information, or any direct account credentials.
So where did the phone numbers and expired codes come from then?
The likely origin identified in the reports points to a supply chain compromise.
Another third party.
Seems like it, specifically involving unencrypted SMS messages sent through an intermediary service that delivers those 2FA codes, not Steam itself.
Interesting. So the weakness was in the delivery channel, not Steam's platform. Did they name the provider? Twilio was mentioned.
Twilio was speculated, but Valve denied using them, according to the report, so some unnamed intermediary service.
Okay. Coinbase, the crypto exchange, also had a major incident report this week, didn't they?
A very serious one, yeah. Described in reports as an insider-led breach sometime in 2025.
Insider-led. How?
Cybercriminals apparently bribed overseas customer support agents.
Wow. What did they manage to get?
Sensitive information for about 1% of Coinbase's monthly active users. The report estimated that at around 97,000 customers.
And what kind of info? Given it's crypto.
It included names, addresses, phone numbers, emails, masked social security numbers, masked bank account details.
Masked again, okay.
Right. Also, images of government-issued IDs, snapshots of account balances, and transaction history.
That's still a lot of sensitive data, even masked. Was anything critical like keys or funds taken?
No. The reports were clear on this, based on Coinbase's statements. No passwords, no private keys, and no customer funds were accessed.
That's the absolute critical point for a crypto exchange. Did the report mention anything about a ransom?
It did. Apparently, Coinbase got a $20 million ransom demand on May 11th, but refused to pay it.
In their response?
They set up a $20 million reward fund for information leading to arrests and prosecution, terminated the employees involved, and the estimated cost for fixing things and reimbursements.
How much?
The reports cited figures between $180 million and $400 million.
A huge potential cost, even without losing funds directly. Okay, who else? Dior.
House of Dior, yes. They reported a cyber attack discovered on May 7th, 2025.
Who was affected?
Primarily fashion and accessories customers in South Korea and China, according to the report.
And the data involved? Customer data?
Yes. Full names, gender, phone numbers, email and postal addresses, their purchase history, and customer preferences.
Any financial data? Passwords?
No. Similar to M&S and Adidas, the report confirms no payment card details, bank account information, or passwords were accessed.
Seems to be a recurring clarification from retailers. Anything else about the Dior incident?
Just a note in the reports about scrutiny in South Korea over delays in notifying affected customer.
Right, notification timeliness is always a factor. What about the Australian Human Rights Commission? That was a different kind of incident, wasn't it?
It was. Not a malicious attack, but a data exposure due to a misconfiguration.
How did that happen?
Somehow, 670 sensitive documents were inadvertently leaked online and got indexed by search engines like Google.
Oh dear. Between when?
Between April 3rd and May 5th, 2025.
And these were sensitive documents. From whom?
Yes, containing private information from submissions made to the Commission dating back to 2021. Things like names, contact details, health data, schooling info, religion, employment details, even photographs.
Very private data. What did the AHRC do?
The The report said they disabled their web forms and were working to get the documents removed from search engine caches.
Okay, one more from that week. Nucor Corporation, the steel producer.
Yeah, Nucor, the largest U.S. steel producer, they reported operational disruptions following a cybersecurity incident.
What kind of disruptions?
They apparently took affected systems offline and had to suspend production at multiple locations.
That sounds serious for a manufacturer. Did the report say what kind of incident it was? Ransomware?
The exact nature and date weren't disclosed in the reports we saw, and no ransomware group had publicly claimed responsibility at that time, so details were scarce, just that there was disruption.
Okay, that brings us to the final week of reports in May, starting around May 27th. What came out then?
Kettering Health had a major issue, a system-wide outage starting May 20th.
What caused it?
Confirmed in reports as a ransomware attack.
Another healthcare ransomware hit. What was the impact?
Disrupted IT systems, forced cancellation of elective procedures, impacted communication systems. Emergency services reportedly stayed operational, though.
Any idea which ransomware group?
Reports linked it to the Interlock ransomware group, also known as Nefarious Mantis. They're known for targeting healthcare and biotech, apparently using something called the Interlock RAT, Remote Access Trojan.
Did Kettering confirm if patient data was stolen?
The organization itself hadn't confirmed data theft at the time of the reports. However, there was a concerning detail mentioned.
What was that?
Some patients apparently started receiving scam phone calls. The callers impersonated Kettering staff and demanded credit card payments.
That strongly suggests some patient contact or billing info might have leaked, doesn't it?
It certainly raises that concern, even if not officially confirmed by Kettering in the reports yet.
Okay, who else? Did we get a final update on Ascension?
Yes, a sort of final summation report came out, referring to it now as a massive data breach.
What was the final number of affected individuals?
The report cited 437,329 Americans, slightly different from the over 430,000 earlier, but in the same ballpark.
And the cause and data were consistent with earlier reports?
Yes, confirmed again. Software vulnerability via that former third-party partner. And the exposed information was the same extensive list. Full names, addresses, phone, email, DOB, race, gender, SSNs, plus all those medical details like diagnosis codes, treatment dates, physician names, medical record numbers, insurance info.
Just a huge amount of sensitive data. Did Ascension say if the data had been misused?
Their statement, noted in the report, said they hadn't confirmed any misuse of the data at that point.
Right. Okay, what about Adidas? There's another mention.
It's a confirmation of a data breach at Adidas, yeah. This one happened via a third-party customer service provider.
Another third party. Who was affected?
Consumers who had previously contacted Adidas customer service.
And what data was exposed?
Personal contact details, names, email addresses, phone numbers.
But crucially, what wasn't exposed?
Right. The report clarified that sensitive data like passwords and payment card information were not compromised in this specific incident.
Okay. Then there was Harbin Clinic. This sounds familiar.
It connects back to an earlier thread. This report detailed the impact on Harbin Clinic patients from that cyber attack on Nationwide Recovery Services, NRS, their debt collection agency.
Ah, right. The NRS attack happened way back in July 2024.
Exactly. This report gave the number of affected Harbin Clinic patients, around 210,140.
And it confirmed Harbin only found out in Feb 2025.
Yes, received notification from NRS in February 2025. The report listed the data illegally copied from NRS systems. Names, addresses, DOBs, SSNs, financial account details, guarantor data, and medical records belonging to those patients.
But Harbin's own systems were okay.
Correct. The report stated Harbin Clinic's own systems were not directly affected, and as of the report, no evidence of data misuse yet.
Okay, almost there. One last one. Catholic Health. Another healthcare-related incident.
Yes, but again, involving a third-party provider named ServiceAid. And similar to the Australian Human Rights Commission, this was more of a leak than an attack.
How so?
A database managed by ServiceAid for Catholic Health was inadvertently left publicly accessible online.
For how long?
The report mentioned it was accessible between September 19th and November 5th, 2024. The disclosure happened in November, but this May report confirmed the scope.
And how many people were impacted?
Over 483,000 individuals.
What kind of data was in that database?
It varied by person, but the list included names, social security numbers, dates of birth, medical and account information, treatment and prescription details, insurance info, email addresses, usernames, and even passwords.
Usernames and passwords, too. That's concerning. Was there evidence it was accessed?
No direct evidence of unauthorized access or data being taken, according to the report, but they couldn't entirely rule it out because it was publicly accessible for a time.
Okay, wow. That is quite a list of incidents just from reports surfacing in 1 month, May 2025.
It really is. When you step back and just look at the facts reported across all these different stories.
What patterns really jump out based only on what these reports told us?
Well, first, the sheer breadth. We saw significant cyber incidents and data breaches reported across basically every sector, didn't we? Healthcare, education, big retail, luxury retail, finance, VC, crypto, government, even manufacturing. Millions and millions of people affected.
Yeah, it wasn't confined to one area at all.
Yeah.
And the type of data consistently mentioned.
It's troubling. It's very often the core identity stuff. Names, addresses, birth dates, social security numbers, emails, phones. That seems almost standard, unfortunately.
But it went beyond that in many cases.
Absolutely. We repeatedly saw reports mentioning highly sensitive medical records, detailed financial information, investment data, specific customer histories, account details, even source code and login credentials in some cases.
And the third-party connection was a really strong theme, wasn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Ascension, Harbin Clinic, Catholic Health, Adidas, the Steam incident. So many of these breaches reported in May originated not within the main organization, but through a partner, a vendor, a service provider. It highlights that supply chain risk massively.
We also saw different root causes reported, not just sophisticated external hacks.
Right, yes, ransomware like at M&S and Kettering and phishing like CodeUI, but also internal employee misconduct at the Texas HHSC and simple misconfigurations leading to exposure at the Australian HRC and the ServiceAid Catholic Health situation.
And those notification delays. VeriSource taking over a year is just one example. The lag between incident detection and public reporting seems consistently long in many cases here.
It does. So looking at the stream, this constant flow of factual reports just from May 2025, detailing all this widespread data compromise affecting so many people across so many sectors.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Based purely on these reported facts, what does this relentless pattern tell you, our listeners, about the fundamental risks tied to how much personal and sensitive information organizations are collecting, storing, and managing today? Something to ponder.